Hello, welcome back, and I want to show you how we can create a connection between this secondary beam and the column. And the connection we want to create is a manual connection, and we'll clone to the rest. So I'll come first of all to reorient my base placement. I'm going to use this tool, sectional plate, and sectional plate means we will have to reorient our XYZ plane. So the reason why I'm saying so, let me right click and show you the reason why. So I want to create a sectional plate from that spot all the way to this far end here, and as if I snap right there, you will be able to see how my plate is sitting against my column. So that is on the right position. I should be placing my plate. So the reason why is because it's not it is a sectional. So we'll have to reorient our XYZ plane. So I'll go ahead and undo that, then come to view. I'll come to more options and select on the surface, and I'll select on the surface of this column here. So that will give an orientation to a better orientation to that the sectional plate will be defined as a sectional profile. So I'll come to still, then come to sectional plate here and pick on the sectional plate. Then when asked to select plate, I will not select a plate. I'll just right click and come to define the starting point. I'll just start my starting point there and end my point somewhere here. So if I select my point right there, and you'll be able to see how my plate appears. But it's not in the right position, but so I have to edit it, modify it further. I'll double click on it, and since it's way thick and this is 20 millimeter, I'll give it 10 millimeter, and I'll click apply and give it an OK. So I want my plate to have a width that will be equal to the width of my web. So if I double click on it and come here, on the width is 150. So I want my width of this plate, double click on it, and I'll change that 150 there and click OK. So once I've clicked OK, I want to position it right in the middle, right there. So how do I do that? I'll come to alignment here and click on that, then move it front. Let's try move it front and see how it's moving. And it's moving, it's not moving the right direction. So let me just undo that and click undo. So I double click on it once again and drag that aside and move it front or behind and click OK. That's not the best. Front, that's okay, and that should be in the middle. Let me try front there. Take it behind, and it's right there. So if you take a closer look, the width of our plate, it's way big. So I double click once again and come here and change this to 150. Change that to 150, and if I drag it aside and click apply, you'll be able to see it's in line, or it's matching the width of our column. So I need an extension here on this side and on that side, and that will help me in placement of my stiffeners. So I'll go further and double click on that and create an extension here. On this side, you can see that I'll prefix my dimension with a negative sign right there. I need 100, and this one also I'll prefix it to the negative sign there. I need an extension 100, so I'll go ahead and click apply and close. Let me just close that. So if you check both sides, have extensions in place. So that's it. And the plate is clashing with my column. So what I'm going to do, I want to trim the part that is clashing with my plate by using a tool, cut by plate. So I'll come to edit right here. and come to cut and cut by part. So the part I want to cut is this, and the cutting plate, the cutting profile is that one. So do you want to delete the cutting object? No, I want to just retain that. So you can see I have my column in place, but it's flashing perfectly with that. So what I'm going to do next is very easy. I want to define the center of this to that, and that center will act as my absolute point of my bolt. So I'll come here, I'll come to edit here and pick on the midpoint. I'll pick on the dividing points and snap on that spot and snap on this spot here. I've snapped on that spot. So I've created a midpoint, but I'm not able to see it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to press Alt D, so that I'll be able to see that point. It is here. So if you're not sure whether it's that one actually, I can zoom out and I'll be able to pick that point. It is that point. Right click and come to special copy, and I'll give it an offset of probably, let me change that. I'll give it an offset of, on the y-axis, I'll give it an offset, I'll prefix that dimension of maybe 100, and I'll click copy. So if I click copy, you'll be able to see the point is slightly away from it, but it's not further as I thought it should be. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add more, or just offset it again by 50 millimeters, so that I'll be able to see it the other end. If I click on that, I'll be able to have it on the other end. So if I press Alt D, I'll have back my previous presentation, and you can see a point right there and a point right here. So I'll come to still, then come to bolts here and pick on the bolts. So I want to bolt this plate to this secondary beam and to this plate. I'll right click and I'll snap on that spot and snap on that spot right there. And you can see I have my bolts in place, but way off the direction of my bolts is not accurate, because the orientation of the XYZ axis is not favoring the coordinates, the right coordinates, the coordinates that we just defined here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click undo, then come back to view, then place my XYZ plane in line with the plate. So I'll come right there and pick on the surface. So I'll select the surface of my plate right there, right click and interrupt, and I'll come back to steel, then come back to bolt right there, and I want to bolt that to that, right click and I'll snap right there and snap right there to create my bolts. Interrupt on that, double click on the bolt profile right there, and I'll change this to, I can leave it at M16, or I can just go straight to positions here, and I can further add more bolts. I can change that to 30, and I need maybe 4 bolts at 100 right there, and I can go ahead and click apply, and you can see I have my bolts in place. So the bolts are in a straight line, and so I need an offset in relation or relative to the absolute point that we had defined at this point. So we need an offset that side and offset that side. So what do you do here? We'll come here and feed in, maybe we need 80 right there, and if you click apply, we'll get an offset of 80 in relative to our absolute point that we had created previously. So if I click OK and turn that round like that, we'll find it. We'll find this already bolted perfectly. So the next thing we want to do, we want to bolt this to that. So I'll come to bolt. I'll weld this column to that plate. I'll come to weld, come to auto weld there. Then I want to weld this to that. So we created a bolt welding. So the moment I go here and select on that and select assembly, right click and come show only selected, you can see I have this in place, already in place. So right click and come to show all, and Let's meet then on how we can show you how we can clone this connection to the rest of the position that are framing the same way as this one do. So let's meet then. Bye bye.